The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-host and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on our live shows. Welcome to This Week in Guns. This show is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network and Patriot Patch Company.
Welcome to This Week in Guns. This show offers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Jake Challand, and we have a great panel this week. First, don't forget to go to firearmsradio.tv/Amazon when you're shopping Amazon. It helps support pro-gun shows just like This Week in Guns. We have Daniel Shaw. Daniel Shaw is a retired Marine Infantry unit leader, notable law enforcement and armed citizen, firearms trainer, sometimes podcaster, sometimes writer and marketing director for Gun Mag Warehouse. Hey, Daniel, what's up?
Hey, how are you doing, Jake?
Doing great. Great to have you back on. It's been a long time.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here.
And we have Savage 1R. He is a long-winded and nasally panel member of the We Like Shooting podcast and an armed citizen, firearms trainer, and sometimes... Oh, wait. I jumped. I jumped.
I mean, technically, I'm an
I can't even read the show notes right. Yeah. So.
You can be everything.
Can I be you too, Daniel Shaw? Because when I Googled you, I saw that you were also a storm spotter, storm chaser, and national news director in Sydney, Australia.
Yes,
so
that is not me.
Oh, damn it.
Wait,
I would like to chase some storms, though. It looks like fun. I live in Wichita, and I almost do it a few times, but I never make it.
That does sound fun. So anyways, let's try this again. So Savage, you're a photographer, videographer, and a faculty at Sonoran Desert Institute, where he teaches impressionable young minds how to properly bubba their firearms.
That's right. I will turn anything into a bullpup.
So you teach the Mosin Nagant class then, I take it.
Yeah. I've got an unmolested one over here. Hold on.
Unmolested?
Unmolested. Nothing has touched this yet, but I have a screwdriver and a Dremel, and we'll see what happens.
That's a nice looking stock on that thing.
Yeah, I'm not touching it. It's very pretty.
Welcome everyone watching live on Facebook and YouTube. Patriot Patch Company helps make this possible. Check out the Patch of the Month Club over at patriotpatch.co. Also, check out the Black Friday deals. If you're listening live here, you'll be able to check those out tomorrow. Sign up for the newsletter at patriotpatch.co. Top stories this week. So we're going to start with some positive news like usual. October has been the all-time record for NICS background checks. Record seems to be broken almost every year. And some companion stories, I guess they didn't link up here, but they're estimating that we may have record NICS for this holiday season as well.
I don't doubt that.
It's a really interesting trend, and it all started back in 2012, where the gigantic explosion happened after Sandy Hook, and then the following calls for gun bans, and then the result of those calls, it was people who frankly didn't want to have to deal with them, so they went out and kept buying and kept buying and kept buying, and it's 7 years later and they're still going. So
Stag Arms heads to the hills of Wyoming. Stag Arms is moving, and apparently they have some new leadership. I don't know if anyone really cares about Stag Arms anymore, but it is cool. They're moving to a freer state, moving from the Northeast out west.
Yeah, I think it's awesome when anybody does that. There's been a lot of companies moving into Arkansas and a lot of places moving around because of the political climate and kind of had enough. And I think it's pretty awesome seeing people, whether it's for financial reasons or whatever, kind of voting with their feet. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and not just the Northeast, but what did I see? Rainier Arms is moving out of the Northwest to Oklahoma, or where is it?
They have warehouses here in Wichita, and they just bought Thunderbird
Kansas.
Farms Academy. Used to be a farms academy here in Wichita, and they're having a little pre-opening thing tomorrow or Friday, actually, on Black Friday. Probably head out there. They still have corporate offices and stuff over there in Washington and all that.
Yeah, we're gonna miss them for the most part.
Utah active shooter training for teachers has a waiting list due to high demand. I didn't really want to talk about this much more other than that. I mean, it's cool that, for one, they're training teachers there in Utah, and they're, I guess, really backed up, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've seen that in Colorado too. I think Sean Heron from We Like Shooting has been involved in some of those organizations that are helping train the teachers over there. And there's a high demand, and they I think a lot of them do it for little to no cost.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a really cool service Firearms Trainers provides to protect what's most precious to us. Massachusetts gun buyback gets mostly air guns. Savage, take this one away.
Well, buybacks are a thing that the anti-gun people try and do, often repeatedly, and just as often they end up being complete failures. And in this case, out of about 40 weapons that were collected, they got 18 actual guns and 22 BB and pellet guns. And I'm surprised they didn't tout out the traditional metal tube that is a used rocket launcher or, a display piece that you can easily get at any Army surplus store. So they didn't do that this time, but that's something you usually see during these buybacks. And they got that dangerous metal tube off the street, But in this case, it was 22 BB and pellet guns.
This is totally not related. Well, I guess it's kind of related. I was in an Army-Navy store this past week, and they had an AT4 FHT, like the field handling trainer. That was just a weighted tube, it just had some concrete poured in it. That was it. $450.
Woo!
I was like, do you know how many of those, I did not take home, but I was like, nobody cared anymore. And, if they were going, obviously it was sitting there, it wasn't sold, but it's like, man, if people are getting $450 for those things, I'm in the wrong business.
There's a market, man.
Ain't nobody buying that thing.
Probably is sitting there for a while.
It'll end up in a buyback program somewhere in Chicago or something.
Yeah.
So I get $50 for it.
Yep.
Amazon gift card.
They probably, some of those buyback programs, they probably order those things, like the rocket launcher tubes or whatnot off of eBay or Gun Broker. They order them in to just say they took this dangerous thing off the streets. It didn't actually come in from the buyback.
I think I read somewhere there was a 4-H club or some small organization that would take broken or faulty guns and trade them in for money and then use those funds to buy actual guns for the kids to train with.
That's America right there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that ends our positive news. I don't know. Shall we move on? So this week we had quite the excitement on social media in the gun world. Standoff between veteran and police sparks Second Amendment outcry. Two companion stories here. Whiskey Warrior 556, a.k.a. Alexander Booth's standoff ends peacefully in the aftermath of Whiskey Warrior 556 standoff. Do you remember when the Great Boogaloo started? Where were you?
I was right here. I was dressed to the nines. I had my my tactical vest on. Got my boonie hat here, so they can't see me in the middle of my suburb.
Keep that street lights off of your head.
Yeah. Because I burn really easy.
I mean, you're probably, practically driving out of the state of Washington all the way across the country.
York. Yeah. Just for that guy, a drunk wife beater who was having a rant.
There's a lot of information coming out about that and a lot not coming out about it. The first report we saw from the police was that there was domestic violence charges that from earlier in that week. And so it seems like we haven't seen that again since then. So there's more evidence indicating that was the case than there is that it wasn't. Now there's the absence is focusing on what he was charged that night. And a lot of folks are taking that to mean that that domestic violence thing never occurred. Personally, I don't have enough information to say for sure. That's why I'll use the word allegedly, to have no idea if that happened, because there's people that said some things and did some things that they're not proud of right now, and they're trying to walk them back. And there's also some people who said some things and did some things that they're doing their best right now to make all of this true, to make themselves not be embarrassed or have a reason to be embarrassed, and to the point where it's like I think I'm taking crazy pills sometimes. But the sad thing is, there's a lot of folks, a lot of friends of mine, very few of them called for violence in kind of a sneaky way or an overt way. It happened out there, and I did not like seeing it. I did not agree with it. But then there's a lot of folks who just said, "Hey, look, go be a good witness." This is arguably your civic duty. There's nothing wrong with this whatsoever. There's nothing negative there. Don't go impede. Don't go cause any problems. But go there and run your phone. Be a good witness and make sure things don't get out of hand, like Ruby Ridge or something like that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And a lot of those guys are getting lumped in with the people who call for violence. And so if we could not get any more divided, we just got more divided, man. And it's sad.
Yeah, one thing I brought up during our podcast when we were covering this thing is that what was really, I think, the most interesting about this situation was the response of social media, because you saw the companies like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram instantly crack down on a number of accounts that were trying to spread information about this event. And so that's what made a number of people paranoid, was because those social media networks were actually trying to push down any kind of information about what was going on. And so that made people a lot more paranoid probably than they needed to be.
That is a scary thing, though. There was also some confusion happened because there was, from my understanding, there was another arrest going on, another event happening. And there's a lot of folks out there that may not understand law enforcement communications. I don't claim to be an expert in law enforcement communications, but I spend a lot of time on radios talking. And there's often multiple things going on at once on the same network. And there was some confusion when they said they had them in custody. A lot of folks took that to mean we're out here right now, and they're not in custody. This is just propaganda. They're lying, trying to get you guys to show up so they can be bad people, and which was really, it was a totally different incident on another part of the town, which is totally normal in law enforcement communications. You can turn on your scanner any day on your local law enforcement, and you'll hear multiple things going on at once. It happens.
Well, and now we have, the conspiracy side of things. Was this some kind of psyops operation to see how quickly the Second Amendment community would respond and how they would organize and how they would, go out there and do something about this? And I don't know. What do you guys think of that?
I don't consider myself a tinfoil hat wearer, but man, I love a good conspiracy theory. They're just fun to read, fun to listen to, fun to watch documentaries on. I enjoy them. But doing a little thought experiment, just thinking about it. If I really wanted to figure out a way to spin something and paint the firearms industry community in a bad light and spin something to a negative and leave out all the positives, and I wanted to do something very divisive to split them up even more, man, maybe hire an actor to do such a thing, right? Like, I am not one of those who believes that this was an actor and it was a semi-false flag or anything like that. Don't quote me on that. I'm not saying that in the slightest, but, hey, man, you never know these days. It's 2019. People do crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think actually it was far more valuable intel for Second Amendment activists because, like I was saying before, it showed how the centralized social media conglomerates can crack down. So it's really telling us that, look, we need to start looking to other decentralized social media applications that we can use that can't be controlled by a central authority. There's a couple different cryptocurrency-based social media networks out there. You can look up Voice for EOS as well as Karma. Those things are cryptographically secured, are not controlled by a centralized authority, and it's pretty much, roll your own when it comes to those things. So look into some of those options. Yeah,
I think it's a good idea to be able to communicate and not have somebody in charge of it, but definitely not have YouTube and Facebook and Instagram controlling the narrative, controlling what's said, because we've all seen what they do every single day and how they censor us, every chance that they get. But at the same time, we have to have our biggest influencers and us as an individual have our critical thinking hats on a little bit, right? And not jump to conclusions with very little information. I don't care if you're talking full-scale warfare, squad-based tactics, individual fight at 2 a.m. at the gas pumps, or an event like this right here. We as gun owners, guns on our hips, guns in our houses, we cannot be so quick to judgment that we go straight to get out there and shoot the traitors. We can't do it. We can't go straight to that. We have more responsibility to ourselves, our families, our country, to the Second Amendment of the United States, to the future generations, to be those loose cannons. We can't do it. And we need to expect more out of our people that are the leaders of our community, and expect more out of our peers.
Absolutely. It's the last option, not the first. They say, what was it? The ballot box or soapbox, ballot box, ammo box.
And this has been an unscheduled test of the National Boogaloo Alert System. This was only a test. Had this been a true Boogaloo emergency, you would have not received any instructions. This concludes the National Boogaloo Alert System test.
You've been waiting the whole episode to do that, haven't you?
I could see him reading. He wrote that down.
Absolutely. Supreme Court finally ends Brady campaign suit against Arm List over 2012 spa shooting. And I think we covered this 2012 spa shooting on one of the first episodes of the show, actually.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah, that was, 2012. That was a long time ago. So this happened back in Wisconsin. So the Wisconsin Supreme Court had dismissed the suit after a lower court received it in 2018. But after an attempt to revive it with an appeal to the Supreme Court, the actual Supreme Court, SCOTUS finally put an end to the punishment process once and for all. So this was an instance where somebody bought a gun, a prohibited person bought a gun illegally using the Arms List listing service, and that's what it is. They're a service. They're not like a publisher, so they don't go in and actually edit or monitor all the different postings that go up on Arms List. And there's the Communications and Decency Act, which basically protects web providers like them, websites from events just like this, because it's sometimes impossible to monitor all these stuff. And if every website is held responsible for every single thing that a user does on that website, I mean, most of your internet would go off overnight.
That sounds ungood.
Yeah.
Well, it really shows how long and dragged out these things can get. I mean,
it takes forever.
2012, man. I've been trying to take Arms List down since then.
Yeah, for sure.
Recall alert. That's right. We have a couple recalls here. This one's kind of scary. The Accurate powder manufacturer, if you reload your own ammo, Accurate, you're probably familiar with. They've recalled several of their powders, 3 of them here, 2495, 4064, and 4350. There's a link in the show notes to the article here on the Firearm blog where you can check to see if your lot numbers are within this recall, but it kind of sounds like it can just start on fire by itself. It's kind of,
God.
It's kind of scary.
That must be my question. Like, so what's wrong with it? Is it just burning at a fast rate?
Right. That's what I was thinking. Does it make your reloads, more potent and therefore dangerous?
You mean reloads, like reloading your gun? Oh, because I was just reloads. Like, it locks your slide back faster.
Yeah, so fast it goes into your face.
Yeah, it's not good.
No, it says the containers may have some serious signs of degradation to your powders. The lid may be deformed. The canister may be deformed. There may be red fumes when you open the canister.
Jesus.
Wow. I kind of want some of this.
So they're just actually spontaneously combusting? That's what this is all about? Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome, but terrible at the same time.
Or terrifying.
Yeah, red fumes.
All right.
Is this that kind of party? I didn't know. I didn't bring everything.
All right. So Daniel Defense also has a recall here, the Delta 5 rifle safety issue. They have a issue where I guess they previously had an issue where the bolt handles could break off during use, but they fixed most of that pre-production. But now they're issuing a recall for the firing pin cross bolt or cross pin. I lost my place here in this article, but you can check out the show notes in case you have a Delta 5 recall. So basically, if this breaks, your rifle it's not drop safe or anything. It just went off, that line.
Is it the firing pin retaining pin that's broken? Like they just need a new firing pin retaining pin?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Sounds very minor.
L.A. County Sheriff claims Saugus school shooter used a ghost gun. Amalan writer predicts a campaign against 80% guns and parts. And could the Saugus killer have purchased an 80% 1911 himself? Because he was underage, right?
Yes. Not in California. He could not have purchased it.
So where did it come from?
I've heard, I'd have to go back and look them up, but I heard that his father owned a number of firearms. And, I mean, I don't know if anybody else here has tried to put together an 80% 1911. It's hard.
That doesn't sound like something for me to do.
It is not. It's not like a Polymer 80 Glock where you just have to file down a couple tabs and then drill a few holes. It's intensive. You have to very accurately mill out the slide rails. You have to drill holes in very precise, positions, because the lower receivers are metal. And if you don't get them just right, all the little doohickeys inside of that 1911 are not going to line up right, and it's just going to seize up, and it's not going to.
Those are the technical terms.
Yeah, as an instructor at SDI,
Hey, in my experience, unless you have one of the high quality, and there's only a few brands, in my opinion, that are high quality 1911s these days, with the exception of a couple like mid range and lower ends from just like one or two companies, they don't do them so good off CNC machines, much less like a do with a drill and a Dremel.
Yeah, you get tolerance stacking, and then once that happens, it's not going to be usable. So there's no way this kid made it, a 15-year-old kid. It's likely that his father or somebody his father knew made it, and it was purchased through him. How the kid got a hold of it, I don't know, but I'm sure hopefully that information will come out sooner rather than later.
Well, if he were to break laws and transport across state lines, is that really a surprise that a murderer, a criminal, committed crimes to do it? We see a lot of the active shooters that sometimes the guns were purchased legally and other things, but then we usually see a string of crimes leading up to it sometime. And we often see an unlawful acquisition of the firearm beforehand. So it's who knows?
Well, on top of that, we also see that DAs don't exactly prosecute a lot of these criminals after they've been caught with guns illegally. So they don't actually press the charges that they should be and put them away. So they just let them back out. They're able to go out and do it again. And, all those gun laws that are supposed to be protecting us are basically thrown out the window.
I mean, how hard can it be to make a 1911 though? I've seen the Pakistani guys barefoot in the caves making them. Come on.
I'll have to admit, I screwed mine up. I'll say that right now. I screwed mine up, and I took a long time trying to get it right.
I don't even have to try. I already know I would screw it up.
Yeah. And those Pakistani guys, holy crap! Like, wow! Like that takes a lifetime of learning a trade. And I think there's some guys in the Philippines that do it too, out of their like garage, and it's insane, like the amount of quality that these guys have trained themselves up to. But it takes a lifetime, not something a 15-year-old kid would be able to do.
Tesla unveils their new bulletproof Cybertruck. Savage, you're just chomping at the bit for this thing.
Anybody who hates this is wrong.
I good, because I like it too.
Thank you.
I want one. I think it's awesome.
Yes, I want one so bad.
It's kind of funny looking. Look, I get it, but man, the specs on that thing, I like it. I ain't mad about it at all. I might even trade in the F-250 for it.
It looks like a souped up version of the Warthog from Halo.
Well, that's the first thing I posted was
I do need some half doors for that thing.
Yeah,
right.
But when the accessories come out for that thing, oh man, it's going to be amazing.
I know. I mean, it's stainless steel. You can smash the door with a sledgehammer. You can't smash the windows with anything because they'll smash. Yeah, that was pretty interesting when during his presentation, the guy threw some metal ball bearings at the windows and both of them broke. I guess they've been doing some testing earlier using those same windows and it had been weakened.
Oh, so it's like whenever my wife wants me to like open the pickle jar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, getting it. And then I set it down on the counter and she tries one more time. And I'm like, well, I loosened it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I loosened it.
Exactly.
So this Tesla truck, I mean, you're going to have to be within charging station range, and that, takes out a lot of the rural part of the country. So this is going to be more like a mall crawler type thing. I see.
I mean, it depends, because their charging stations, they have adapters, so you can charge it at home, and their range is 300 miles. The mid-range one is 300 miles. The high-end one can go like 500 miles. So I don't
go 500 miles really fast too.
Faster than a Porsche 911.
So are you guys, when you finally get one, are you going to test to see if it's actually bulletproof?
I will not. Maybe on Savages, not on mine.
No, I will mount my remote controlled turret in the back in that truck bed though.
Well, I mean, this is like the only vehicle if you live in Chicago. I mean, you want some Chicago style pizza and be safe while you're out and about? I mean, this is it.
I would half expect RoboCop to step out of that truck.
So, all right, let's take a break here. Let's take a break and go to the safety corner. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the 4 rules of gun safety. Apparently, down there in South Africa, they're not quite so familiar. Prosecutor was actually killed when a gun being introduced in evidence goes off in the courtroom.
Man, you really, it got dark real quick. He's over here laughing at death.
That's just the kind of guy I am, I guess.
Hey, if you can't laugh at death, I laugh at my own, but not other people's usually. Savage is just savage.
Right. Dang. How do you think I got the nickname?
I would like to know the whole chain of custody and like how this happened. I mean, there's so many things had to go wrong. Also to the point of a little bit of just straight up bad luck, right? Like in this, unless it's a SIG 320, and then if it fell, and this makes it more of a reason for it to happen. But like this is how many hands that thing had to get to that courtroom and everything else, and then hurt somebody. Like, man, I hope multiple heads roll over that. Like somebody lost their life over. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, you have to mess up pretty bad to have it go through like evidence, all the different cops who held it and, handled that thing from point A to point B. And then, the genius who had their finger on the trigger.
Well, I read that it was dropped.
Oh, it was dropped. Oh,
but that's what I read in one article. So I will not say what happened because, man, we all know how articles are and the internet is. That's why I made the P320 joke.
Gotcha.
It would have been funny if somebody would have pulled the trigger.
Well, I think SIG, some model of SIG is, or is it CZ that's not drop safe, is like the most popular gun in South Africa. CZs are big down there.
Oh.
Anyways, moving on. Excuse me. Patriot Patch Company and Second Call Defense make this program possible. We are to the I'm offended section. I'm not necessarily offended, but somebody's offended here. Democrats want to use credit card companies to watchdog gun purchases. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a little bit disconcerting. Virginia Democrats are introducing this bill where they basically want to build this, algorithm that tracks. Well, they want to track, these mass shooters. They're purchasing habits leading up to the shooting. They want to, keep us all safe and track this, but really they want to track all gun owners and their purchasing habits when it comes to guns and anything else.
Look, Virginia is out of control. I don't know if you saw the stuff today that was going all over social media, Instagram and Facebook. I recently shared it. That bill that you just talked about, there's a bill that basically ends your First Amendment right and your Second Amendment right to no longer, any kind of training more than one person at a time is against the law. Peacefully gathering with firearms involved, it will be against the law. They are attacking everything, like taking away your First Amendment and Second Amendment right. Like this is a pretty incredible piece of legislation just went to committee.
Yeah, that sounds like Patriot Act for guns.
It's man, I made in my post I just put on Instagram a little bit before the show was I wish we could take some of this energy that's going around the firearms community right now and put it into some political action and do something about what's happening out there. I also added that spare me the voting doesn't work and all that stuff too, because we're also seeing in Virginia a lot of stand-up sheriffs and all over the country a lot of stand-up sheriffs who are saying, hey, I'm with the Constitution. I will not enforce any of this stuff. And I think that peaceful disobedience is awesome.
Well, in Virginia, a lot of the counties are passing sanctuary county status, and Illinois has done that as well. A lot of counties, the majority of the counties actually in both states, I believe, are already to that point. So they're pulling all the stops out there in the wrong way in Virginia. Vermont police chief says officers shouldn't draw guns on suspects with knives.
Well, there's a first. What are they supposed to do?
Can they draw their knife? Have a knife fight? That wouldn't be fun at all.
No. God, that sounds just awful. I mean, Lord knows that there's been a lot of issues with, at least a lot of public issues where some police officers have gone overboard, but you don't want to tie their hands when they're faced with somebody who's got a dangerous weapon and just say, good luck.
That's also it's quite ignorant and not understanding that there's often, I had one of my students not too long ago, a guy had a woman tied to a chair with a knife to her neck and a hostage situation. my man kicked the door in and shot him in the face. And that's what he needed to do to save her life right then. And that there was a knife there, but also a third party there, right? There's so much more. You can't blanket take tools away from. It's absolutely ridiculous. Incredible. Sorry, I talked about shooting by the face. Did I lose my comms?
No, we're good.
No, we got you.
All right.
There's just an uncomfortable silence. Hold me.
There was an uncomfortable silence.
I lost my show notes again.
We also see what the ineffectiveness of tasers, man. Just Google real quick. Watch how many tasers are failing. And a lot of that's improper training. A lot of it's just, there's clothing. It's wintertime. Tasers aren't as good in the wintertime, right? There's the clothing factor. I watched one the other day with the dude I don't know if you've seen it, the guy in the fast food restaurant where there was these two aggressive female officers that were arguably maybe making some mistakes. I'm not going to quarterback it, but they were going after this guy, and this guy got tased a lot. They had the X2 tasers, so they kept hitting him, and but it didn't matter, and it's just out of control.
Well, some people are just immune to them. I mean, it doesn't matter. They'll just keep going.
Contribute to the Firearms
Radio. Good connection in two spots on there. I don't know if anybody's immune to the taser.
There's a couple of videos I've seen where a guy, there's this big dude. He's like his last two words before the police actually had to tackle him, or I'll get you.
Right. Yeah. It's like you don't get a choice. Yeah. Your body stops working.
You can contribute to the Firearms Radio Network and This Week in Guns by shopping on Amazon with the Amazon affiliate link. Go to firearmsradio.tv/Amazon before your next shopping spree and support pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. We are to the full auto news segment, stories the real media won't talk about and other crazy stuff. Each of the hosts picks a story to call their own here. So who's ready?
Hey, I've got one, but can I do a shameless plug?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so when you're using that link for Amazon to make the show some money, go buy mine and my son's new little book we wrote. He illustrated, I wrote it, and I have some tissue ready. Read it with your kids. I promise you'll love it. And then leave us a 5-star review. The print version just came out today on Amazon, and the Kindle version is available too.
What's it called?
Thanks. It's called Building Bridges.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes.
Sweet. Thanks.
I'm kind of a fan. Well, I'm not a fan of it, but I thought it was really interesting where they say a Texas woman killed by feral hogs outside home in unbelievably tragic incident. So apparently, this Christine Rollins lady, 59, was just absolutely mauled by a group of feral hogs. And people just really don't understand how crazy feral hogs are and what a problem they are. I mean, and this was in Texas, which is like
you would think the word feral.
Yeah.
Would cover most of that.
Yeah. And Texas is like the center, the epoch of where all the feral hogs have been exploding out of. It's literally called a pig bomb. They can't shoot them fast enough with machine guns in helicopters to keep the population down is how fast they are spreading. And it's even become a meme on places like my favorite place, Reddit, where, people have said, a good reason to have an AR-15 is because you could be faced with 30 to 50 feral hogs in your backyard and who want to kill you. And this is a perfect example of that exact same thing happening.
That's just crazy, man. Daniel, what do you have?
Why everybody needs night vision and suppressors.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's the polite way to shoot.
It is. I mean, it's just bad etiquette to put muzzle brakes and stuff on your gun. Hey, don't anybody steal the one about the app, because that's the only one I read.
All right, go ahead, take it.
Okay. I won't read it, but I'll tell you about it, because this kid was impressive. Let me find his name. I'll give you his name. Aaron Smith, 31-year-old. Like, this is an entrepreneur. This guy is awesome. He was having trouble with all these apps like Tinder and everything else, Plenty of Fish, trying to find girls and all the dating sites and everything else. So him and his buddy make a dating app, and this dating app only has like different poses and different pictures of him and different person profiles. Like, he is the only guy on the entire app, but he just looks different and has a different profile. So the girls are always swiping to him. So he says he hasn't had any dates or phone calls or anything from, not that phone calls happen in these days, like, or text messages or whatever the kids are doing. But his mom thinks it's pretty awesome. But I think it's genius. I think it's a great idea. But not just that, the whole idea of not allowing any other men on his dating app and him being the only man that looking different in each picture and profile. I think that's awesome. But he's really doing it to get a chuckle and to poke fun at the dating culture and a lot of the things that are out there and technology based stuff. And I think in a sarcastic and satirical way, it's pretty genius. I like it a lot.
Awesome.
Jake, I'm not sure if you picked this story on purpose or if it was accidental regarding this pawn shop finds the poor man's KSG and 870 bullpup. Was that on purpose? Tell me.
I was thinking of you, Savage. Why don't you tell people about it?
Because I've got one.
Are you serious?
I am totally serious. This is it. I saw that story. I just about fell out of my chair. So it's basically going over a pawn shop find that this guy picked up, and it happened to be a Bullpup Unlimited bullpup kit for a Remington 870. And I happen to have that very setup with mine, except mine is I got a Chinese knockoff 870 in here and a plus 3 extension tube. So I'm rocking 8 in the pipe, 1 in the chamber.
You need an intervention, man. That is the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. And you put it on some kind of Chinese knockoff Remington product?
Well, hold on now. The Chinese one is actually better than the Remington because the receiver is actually made out of steel.
Oh, no. If it's comparing to 870s in the past, 8 years. Yeah. For sure. What's not better than those Remington 870s? Right. The company that messed up the Remington 700 rifle.
I know. How do you freaking do that?
Don't get me started. I've got so much stuff at Remington.
I will tell you, this is a sweet setup. I mean, I think the Chinese 870 costs me about $190. This kit here runs you about $400 or so. So for about the same price, you could get a KSG with 2 tubes. That's about 15 rounds. You can have this setup, which will give you 9. I don't know. It's kind of a choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
You lost me at shotgun. I live in 2019. Better choices.
There are. But, choices and variety is the spice of life, so why not?
It's good for you, Savage. Good for you.
Thanks for your pity, Jake. I really appreciate it.
So Milwaukee authorities find weapons stash in Hermit's underground bunker in the woods. And whoever wrote this first line just needs to be fired from journalism.
It's probably the same people who write from National Review. Have you guys read some of the articles? They're always popping up in my feed. Oh, always popping up in my Google Chrome or whatever. I'm seeing these National Review, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Did you see the one that was how the Kel-Tec SU-16 is more powerful than the AR-15?
Oh man! And then we could do a whole show on titles from there. They're so horrible.
It's like the Babylon Bee for guns.
Yeah, except they're not trying to be.
Right, I know, accidentally.
Yeah. What was the other one? Not Task and Purpose. They do some pretty good stuff. There was another one of the veteran ones that claimed to know a lot about guns, but they're always way off. And they were talking about the Russian round that the U.S. military uses, and they totally didn't know the difference in 7.62 by 39 and 5.1. They had no idea. They thought the AK round was the same round in a 308, and just the whole article just goes on and on about this. And I'm just reading this thing. It's ridiculous. It wasn't Task and Purpose. I forget who it was. It was one of those the bad ones. Because I like Task and Purpose. Not mad at them.
All right, let's get back to my underground bunker guy.
Sorry.
So a Wisconsin man was found living in an undetected underground bunker in the Milwaukee woods for years with a dog and a stockpile of weapons and ammunition. You should see his stockpile.
The pictures are impressive.
Did he have any of that recall powder with the red smoke?
Unfortunately, no.
Well, his bunker didn't burn down, so I'm guessing not. He had, I don't know. He looks like he's kind of got Savage's taste here a little bit.
Now, hold on now. He's mismatching things here. He's got an 870 with a folding stock and a bunch of SKS mags, and that's just not right.
Maybe he modified it. I mean, come on.
This is an interesting looking dude, man.
Right?
Like a vampire or something.
He kind of looks a lot like me.
This guy's
only angry.
He looks very angry, but I mean, he just wants to be left alone. I mean, what was he hurting? I mean, he was just trying to live in a bunker. What's
you guys
wrong?
have similar taste in shotguns.
It's true.
Court records show that a 2012 arrest for scuffling with cops trying to detain him, and 2009 summons for riding a bike down the street with 8 German Shepherd dogs running alongside.
Wow, so he's probably an illegal breeder too, and that's how he made his cash. Nice.
I mean, I'm
No,
sorry.
I really hate him.
I'm sorry. I thought this was America. You can't ride your bike down the street with 8 German Shepherd dogs running alongside you. What the heck is wrong with that?
Yeah, I wonder which law that was.
And you can't live in a bunker undetected. I don't get it. I mean,
I think we broke Jake.
yeah. I thought this was a free country. I guess not in Wisconsin.
No, South Dakota. I think you're good to go, Jake. So.
Oh, I'm digging every day. All right.
Digging that snow to get out of your driveway. I bet it's crazy up there, huh?
Well, that's what everyone was saying before we moved. But my parents in Northern Illinois, they got more snow than we did. So, and earlier. But anyways, so that about wraps us up. Savage, where can people connect with you online and find what Savage 1R is all about?
The best place to find me is on welikeshooting.com/show. That's where we do our podcast every week. You can tune in live on our YouTube channel under We Like Shooting. If you want to check out my Instagram for mediocre pictures of random leaves and twigs and stuff, you can go to Instagram at Savage1R. That's pretty much it.
That's it.
Yep.
Okay. Just checking. Daniel, where can people connect with you online and find out what you're up to?
You know, I put a lot of videos out on the Gun Mag Warehouse YouTube channel. Go subscribe there, but you're not really going to connect with me there. Instagram or Facebook, Daniel Shaw 0369 on both of those. And my website is shawstrategies.com. I only got one more class up for this year, and I'm working out my schedule for next year right now. So you're not going to really connect with me very well on there anyway. But yeah, Instagram, Facebook, Daniel Shaw 0369. Buy all your magazines at gunmagwarehouse.com because I run marketing for Gun Mag, and my boss lets me do all kind of cool stuff. So it's pretty awesome. So go buy your magazines there so I get to do even more cool stuff. And we got a Black Friday sale going on right now like everybody else does. So there you go.
Awesome. I'll have to go over there and check that out. Leave your feedback by commenting on the bottom of this YouTube video or the bottom of the show notes at firearmsradio.tv. Leave us a review on iTunes, and don't forget to help out the show. Check those FRN Amazon links before you go shopping. Check out Patriot Patch Company and Second Call Defense. And This Week in Guns is produced by Kenny Ortega and Ben Alred and is a production of the Firearms Radio Network. Thank you, Savage.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you, Daniel.
Long time no see.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
And that's a wrap, and we'll see you next week.